Attention crypto traders. Before we dive into this form analysis, I need to give you a critical warning that could save you from a massive mistake. There are multiple tokens trading under the form ticker, and mixing them up could be absolutely devastating to your portfolio. We've got form trading at $3.87, another form at 24 thousandths of a cent, and yet another at 8 thousandths of a cent. The price differences are insane. We're talking about tokens that are literally thousands of percent apart in value. So whatever you do, make absolutely sure you're trading the right contract address before you put any money down. For today's analysis, I'm focusing on the form token trading at $3.87, which is showing the most legitimate trading volume and liquidity. This token just posted a 2% gain, and the setup we're seeing could lead to some serious moves in either direction. Here's what's happening right now. Form is sitting just below some major resistance levels, and we're in a zone where the next move could be explosive. The current price action suggests we're building up for a breakout, but we need to see which direction it's going to go. Looking at the structure, form has been consolidating in a range, and we're now testing the upper part of that range. This is exactly the type of setup where you can see massive moves happen very quickly, especially with the limited liquidity that these smaller tokens typically have. Over the next 3 trading sessions, here's what I'm expecting. Initially, I'm looking for continuation of the current bounce that could take us up to $4. That represents about a 3 to 5% move from current levels, but that's just the beginning if momentum builds. If we get that initial push and it holds, then I'm targeting the $4.15 to $4.25 range. This is where we start hitting some significant resistance levels that have been capping this token for a while. Breaking through this area would be a major signal that something bigger is happening. But here's where it gets really interesting. If form can push above $4.20 and hold that level, we could see an explosive move up to $4.50 or even $4.80. That's potentially a 25% gain from current levels, which is exactly the type of opportunity that can make your month. Now let's talk about the critical levels you need to watch. On the downside, $3.70 is our first major support. This level has been tested recently and held, making it a key area where buyers have stepped in before. If we break below this, the next support comes in around $3.50. The level that really matters is $3.30. If form drops below this area, it changes the entire picture and suggests we could see a much deeper correction. We're talking about potential moves down to $3 or lower, which would be a significant breakdown. On the upside, $4 is our first major resistance. This is that big psychological level where we might see some selling pressure from traders looking to take profits. The next significant resistance is at $4.20, which has been acting as a ceiling for this token. The big target is $4.80. Getting above this level would open up much higher targets and could signal a complete shift in momentum for form. We're talking about potential moves toward $5 or higher if the breakout really gets going. From a volatility perspective, expect some serious swings. Form typically sees daily moves of 6 to 10%, which creates great trading opportunities but also means you need to be really careful with your position sizing. This isn't a token for conservative investors, this is for traders who can handle the volatility. Here's my trading plan, and this is exactly what I'm watching for my own positions. If you're looking to buy, the current levels around $3.87 look decent, but I'd prefer to see a dip back to $3.70 to $3.80 for a better entry. That's where the risk-reward becomes more attractive. Your stop-loss should go below $3.50 because a break of that level suggests something more significant might be happening. For profit targets, I'd take some gains at $4, then more at $4.20, and if we really get moving, $4.50 to $4.80 is where I'd look to exit the majority. If you want confirmation before entering, wait for a break above $4 with strong volume. That would signal the breakout is real and we're starting a legitimate move higher. I'm tracking 2 main scenarios here. The bullish case, which I give about a 60% probability, involves bouncing from current support levels and testing the resistance areas I mentioned. The technical setup and recent price action suggest this is the more likely outcome. The bearish scenario carries about 40% probability. This would involve breaking below $3.70 and potentially seeing a move down to $3.30 or lower. While possible, the current momentum suggests this is less likely in the near term. What makes this setup compelling is the asymmetric risk profile. We're buying near established support levels with clearly defined risk, while the upside potential is substantial. When you can risk small amounts for potentially large gains, that's what creates wealth in trading. But let's talk about the elephant in the room: liquidity. Form isn't Bitcoin or Ethereum. The liquidity is limited, which means moves can be more violent in both directions. A relatively small amount of buying or selling can move the price significantly, so position sizing is absolutely critical. Looking at the bigger picture, form is still well below previous highs, which means there's room for recovery if market conditions improve. But remember, we're dealing with a smaller cap token that can be influenced by factors beyond just technical analysis. My base case is for continued strength over the next few sessions, with targets in the $4.20 to $4.50 range. But I'm prepared for either scenario and have plans for both outcomes. The levels you need to memorize are $3.70 for support, $4 and $4.20 for resistance, and $4.80 for the major breakout level. These numbers will determine where form goes next. Here's the most important thing: make absolutely sure you're trading the right form token. Check the contract address, verify you're on the right exchange, and double-check the price before you execute any trades. The last thing you want is to accidentally buy a token that's trading at a completely different price level. Position sizing is everything with a token like this. Don't bet the farm on any single trade, especially with something this volatile. The opportunities are real, but so are the risks. What's your take on form at these levels? Are you seeing the breakout potential, or do you think we need to see more consolidation first? Let me know in the comments, and if this analysis helped you understand the setup, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more crypto breakdowns. Remember, trading is about managing risk and staying disciplined. Have a plan for both directions, stick to your levels, and never risk more than you can afford to lose. The setup looks interesting, but the market will decide what happens next. Stay safe out there.